Hello, craft fans. Welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. My name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. So today's card is one that I learned from a friend of mine, Cheryl. She did this card for one of her events, and after seeing it and trying one, I asked for permission to share it. So I'm also going to link her video right here, up in the corner here. I'll put a link, and that way you can go and find Cheryl's information about this card as well. So it is a fast and easy card. I think you're going to like it. And if you'll stick with me all the way to the end, I'm going to show you several other cards that are done with other themes. So let's get started. I am using the Inked Botanicals. This is a 6x6 pack of designer series paper. And for the most part, the background of these papers is more of a vanilla or a cream. So I'm using vanilla cardstock, which I don't often do, but usually depending on the designer series paper, sometimes that will tell me which way to go, white or vanilla. So in this case, we're using vanilla. So I have two pieces of vanilla cardstock, and they are cut the same size. By the way, all of the dimensions for everything that I'm doing today can be found with just a little hop over to my website, stampwithjuliebaum.com, and I will put a link to that website below this video in the description box. I have here a card base, and this is made out of Lost Lagoon. And then, as I mentioned, my vanilla cardstock. Then I have four pieces that I have cut and prepared for the front of the card, and this is out of Inked Botanicals. Now, when you do this card, you need to do a little bit of folding on each of these four pieces. So on the first one, I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to show you a hack that will make it even easier. So let me show you. All right, so on the completed card, there is a folded corner on each of these four pieces. And so let me give you an idea where we're headed with this. The pieces are going to be arranged like this, and each of these inside four corners are going to be folded back as if they got peeled open. All right, so in order to do that, on each piece, you would follow these steps. So I'm going to get a pencil and I'm going to turn this over onto the back. At first, this might seem a little time consuming, but stick with me because once you see the hack, you're going to see how this definitely is a fast and easy card. All right, I'm just using my grid here. You could definitely use a piece of our white grid paper, or you could just use a ruler. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark 1 inch from this corner. So that's right here, and an inch this way from that same corner. All right, there I have marked it. Then what we need to do is fold right there on that diagonal from this point to that point to connect them. So you can either do that on your Simply Scored scoring tool, or you can use your trimmer with a scoring blade. So I'm going to show you for this instance on my trimmer. So I'm going to get my cutting blade out of the way. I don't want to accidentally cut. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this right here. So in the cutting groove, or in this case, the scoring groove, I'm going to line up my pencil mark here and my pencil mark here. All right, now in doing that, I can go ahead and close this, and this is my scoring blade, not my cutting blade, and I can score right there on that diagonal. All right, now what that's going to do is give me a nice clean fold right here, and I can reinforce that fold, make that crease nice and tight with my bone folder. So what needs to happen is the same thing on this piece, but in this corner. The same piece on this piece here, and on piece number 4 here. Now, when I did the first 2 cards of this, I did exactly these steps. I turned them all over, I used my pencil, I made my little marks, I did my scoring, and then I thought there's got to be a faster way to do this. So what I did is I just took a piece of cardstock. This was scrap cardstock. I went ahead and cut it to the correct dimension, which is 1 7/8 by 2.5 inches. And then I did that first step here, but I cut it instead of scoring it. So now I have a template, and this is going to make this so much faster. So this one, here is the corner that needs to fold. So I'm just going to stick it here on my template and fold it. Okay, now that piece is done. Then I'm going to go to this corner. That's the one that needs to be folded. Put my template on top of it. This is the corner I needed, and fold it. For the fourth one, this is the corner that needs to be folded. So I'm going to put my template on top. This is the corner I need to fold, and fold. So I just stopped having to use my pencil and measuring and all that other business by just using this simple little template. And there we have it. Now we can put our card together. All right, with a little dab of glue, I'm going to fold this corner down and seal it shut. We're going to do that ×4. Trying not to use too much glue because you really would rather not have it oozing out. And you can also give it a nice good press with your bone folder. And the same thing here. And here. And this is such a pleasant design, the way that the back side of the paper is now peeking out and is actually part of your card front, your focal image. Okay, now we're just going to attach these to this panel of vanilla cardstock. So I'm using my liquid glue, which is wonderful for this type of process where I might need to set it down and have a moment to be able to slide it around. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just set that one down until I at least get the second one in place. Often I will do a dry fit and lay all 4 in place with no glue just to get an idea. But because I've made about 6 of these cards already, I am not doing the dry fit because I kind of know what that border needs to look like and this space between. Okay, so those first 2 are now in place. Let's get 3 and 4 down. So you're trying, as you're laying these down, to have somewhat of an equal border around the edge and also the space in between each paper. And then what happens is it kind of gives you this diamond shape in the middle that should be pretty symmetrical. It may not be perfect, but your eye is going to be a little forgiving. And there we have that one. All right, there's the 4 pieces. Let's give that another press. Okay, now we're going to finish with our stamping and embellishing. So this particular paper is part of a suite of products on page 94 and 95 in the annual catalog. So I'm just briefly kind of showing that to you, but I chose not to get this stamp set and the coordinating punches. That one just didn't appeal to me very much, but the paper did, and this ribbon in Lost Lagoon. So I'm using those, but because I did not match it with that coordinating stamp set, I am pulling a stamp from Darling Details. All right, so I'm going to use the little thank you stamp. There are several stamps in this set that would work cute on this card. And I'm going to use Calypso Coral ink because that is one of the colors that is in this paper. If I can find it, there it is. All right, I'm going to stamp this on a scrap just to give it a test. Yes, that is what we're going for. All right, so I'm going to do this right. I'm going to do it a little off center actually. I was going to do it in the middle, but let me do this a little off center, like so. And then I think I'll come in with a tiny little flower from that same stamp set and pool party. Between my light and my camera stand, this one was kind of hard to reach. Okay, so with pool party, let me see if I want it stamped off. I do, so I'm going to stamp it off and then just do a couple of really, really faint flowers, like so. Okay, this whole piece now is going to go onto my card base, and I'm using Lost Lagoon. I have glue that's working well, and I have this guy that needs his little problem to be fixed. So you saw me switch that out. I think it sat out uncapped for an extra long time, so the tip of it is kind of like glued shut. I just need to pierce it with a little pen in a moment. Okay, so there we've got our card front. Let's do a little bit of embellishing, and let's also put a vanilla piece on the inside so that a message could be written. And even though I didn't stamp on this piece before I glued it, I do think that I'm going to put a couple of flowers here on the inside. Okay, then I've got these gems that are called Tinsel Gems 3-pack, and the description in the catalog says that these are Misty Moonlight, Fresh Freesia, and Lost Lagoon. Now, to me, this looks a little more green than the Lost Lagoon until I went to use it, and then I thought it very much looked like Lost Lagoon. So I'm going to take one of these gems and just add it here to my card. See, there's something about when it gets near the Lost Lagoon, then it kind of picks up that shade. So there's a little gem. And then this ribbon here, we only need a couple of inches. I'm going to make a bow. Sometimes I just tie a knot, but I'm going to make a bow. So I'll make my loop, pull it around, and tie my bow. Even up my little edges there. And there we have a really beautiful Lost Lagoon bow. And for this example, I'm going to go ahead and stick it here to that top corner. I'll use a glue dot to do that. And this one will be finished. And then I'm going to show you the other cards. All right, so this one I'm going to put right there. How do I want the tails? I guess like that. And you have this cute card with the little flipped back edges that is adorable. All right, let me show you this one, which is very similar, but on this card, instead of using all 4 of the same pattern, and then of course the back side is showing, I chose 2 different patterns. So I had 2 of this pattern, 2 of that pattern, and then of course when the inside corner gets folded, you end up with that variety. So I thought that that turned out quite nice as well. Then I wanted to see what it looked like with a Halloween paper. And this is one of those portions of the paper that's actually a scene. And so I think that it totally worked. You can tell that it's the little tombstone graveyard scene, but you've got the corners peeking back with those little bats and a Happy Halloween stamp. Then I went to our beautiful autumn papers, which are called All About Autumn. And I did 2 cards using the autumn papers and just embellished and used different ribbon and trim. And then for my final one, I wanted to do a birthday card. So I chose this paper, and this soft pink color is called Bubble Bath, and did a happy birthday version. So as you can see, that little corner peeled back is really a nice touch. And by using my little template trick, it can save you a lot of time in the measuring and scoring part of the project. I hope that you enjoyed today's card. I really appreciate that you spent time with me today on Simply Saturday. I'll put some information for you below this video in that description box, including a current host code. Anyone who orders after seeing this video and their subtotal is $50 or greater, I will send a thank you with a small gift. And also in that description box, I will put some links to help you further your adventure and journey. Until next time, happy stamping.